Hello! Welcome to episode 5. This time I'd like to try and paint the picture with words, mostly. The luxuries that we take for granted in Western-style living soon developed into a memory of extreme and embarrassing decadence, as I was launched into a world of firm bamboo and coconut matting beds, hard wooden chairs, bare concrete floors and lime-washed walls to which every picture or poster refused to stick. The bathroom and kitchen were even more basic than my camping facilities at home, and the tap water undrinkable as it came straight from the nearby river. A gas water heater served the shower head, which was strategically poised over a recessed hole in the floor, which doubled as our toilet and waste disposal unit. Imprints of Chinese-sized feet on either side of said aperture made further instruction unnecessary. The electric wiring looked positively dangerous, but we were grateful for the solitary bare light bulb in each room. All our food was cooked on a 2-burner gas hob, after being bought fresh from the market daily. If our meals when at number 1 were an interesting experience, then the meals that Sally produced were often an audacious experiment, a different creation practically every evening, but all equally delicious. I don't know how she did it. I opted for the job of washing up and managed to lose only one spoon down the loo. From the tiny balcony off my bedroom, which was also our clothes drying area, we had extensive views over the little township, to the river, the school and the inevitable temple. It also served as a grandstand for the incessant firecracker shows, which marked every occasion imaginable, from births to deaths, new businesses opening, building stages completed, exams passed or failed, ancestral anniversaries to present-day birthdays, etc. I don't know about frightening off evil spirits, but at first I wanted to duck and look for cover. It took me a while to remember each time that I wasn't being caught in the crossfire of some civil conflict. These shows seemed to be more noticeable after 11 at night for some reason. School started at 7:30, conveniently with band practice on Wednesdays, to make sure we were up in good time for work at 8:30. No wonder they all need a 2-hour siesta from midday, and we weren't too unhappy about it either. Having been introduced to my accommodation, Sally took me on a tour of the 3 main centre buildings to meet the residents. My first and lasting impression was that Florence Nightingale would be at home here. I was reminded of the institutional living conditions that I'd read about that had prevailed in my own country only 100 years or so ago. My heart ached for these dear people who still had to endure such hardship in the 21st century. Seeing at first hand such need highlighted for me the improvement that the 10 years of Christian presence and work in number 1 had made. My heartfelt prayer echoes that of the Lord Jesus in Matthew chapter 9 verse 38, where he says, "Pray that the Lord of the harvest will send forth or thrust out workers into the harvest field." In this particularly ripe harvest field, they would make such a difference. The 200 or so residents were made up of almost equal numbers of men and boys and women and girls. Most were orphans, but some had been placed in residential care by their families who were unable to care for them at home. All presented some form of disability, mostly intellectual, but many had physical difficulties as well. It was the latter group that received my specific attention because of my training and experience in physiotherapy. And what a special bunch they were too, enduring unrelenting problems and pain with huge stoicism, acceptance and occasionally resignation. Long-standing untreated conditions which could have been helped or rectified by sometimes the simplest of procedures and attention had been neglected, resulting in serious permanent deformity. The work was strenuous and difficult with negligible resources, but the patients were so embarrassingly grateful that someone was giving them individual attention and trying to help them. Anyone with a disability or handicap of any description is considered to be ugly in China and consequently rejected by society as being of no value, especially if they are unable to work to support the family income. In impoverished rural areas where only the fittest survive, this is perhaps understandable, even if unacceptable to humanitarian thinking. The language barrier was a great frustration, and the indifference, seemingly uncaring attitude of some staff members was exasperating at times. But the willing cooperation and endeavour of the patients more than compensated for that. Specific appropriate exercises and routines were taught to those with cerebral palsy and strokes who were well enough to carry out their own treatments. Similar programs were given to staff members to do with the more profoundly handicapped. Staff training was carried out with the able assistance of a 21-year-old girl, a university graduate, who was the only member of staff that could speak any English. We tried both practical and theoretical sessions, but were not convinced of their value because of the intransigent attitudes. Sadly, the workers are paid so poorly that there is little incentive to take on what they would consider as extra work. However, everyone was very pleasant and friendly and seemed to appreciate that we had come a long way to try to help them. And now, please give me a few days to settle in before the next episode. If you'd like to continue with me on my wanderings, please give a thumbs up and press the subscribe button found below this picture.